All right, hardware versus software. These are my opinions on it. These are my views on it. This is what I have been brought up with. This is what my ear hears with these things. And see, before I get into this, I want everyone to understand when I talk about this subject. When I was growing up, the music that I heard with my ears that people were producing and making, a lot of these things were hardware sounds. They were coming from synthesizers, drum machines, Akai MPCs and things like that. And yes, these guys, they sampled stuff, but a lot of this stuff was coming from like Korg Tritons, Yamaha motif, Korg. I should know this right off the bat. Korg, one of the Korgs, Korg, yeah, Korg Triton, I'm sorry. Yamaha motifs and other keyboards if I sat here and thought about it. But the sound, when you grow up with that sound and you hear that sound and you know what you're going for, I know for me, software just does not sound like hardware. It just does not sound the same. I'm not saying that I don't use software because I do. Because, see, the MPC-1 in standalone is actually software in hardware. It's not, I don't believe that it's hardware. I have asked around about this question and nobody has ever answered this question on the internet. I have never got an answer for this question from anybody on the internet. I asked them, when you put sounds into the MPC, is that considered hardware and you're using it in hardware, or is it software that you're using in standalone hardware? And it has to be software in standalone hardware. So it's not hardware you're using. You're not using a hardware sound that's coming from a hardware synthesizer or a hardware drum machine. Because I know for me, I have the Roland JDXI over here too, and the drums on there hit different. They have a different dynamic sound to it. It resonates with me more. When it punches and it hits, it just has some kind of dynamic tone to it that if you're someone like me and you have an ear for sound and you have an ear for music, I have been listening to music for almost my whole life, and I have paid attention to the details in the sound. I hear sounds that people never heard in the music. I said, you don't hear that little tiny bell in the background. You don't hear that string in this part. And they're like, oh no, I never heard it. If you wouldn't have told me, I wouldn't have heard it. And see, there's some people that have an ear for sound and music and things that people don't pick up on. And I pick up on these things. And the reason I'm doing this video is because, see, if software sounded similar to hardware and it was a little more expensive and I could afford it, I would just have a laptop and a MIDI keyboard and make music into the computer. I would have a MIDI keyboard that I could control with the computer, though. I don't want to be on a computer with a mouse, and some guys like Nick Mira and some guys like that, they're on there with that little keypad thing and they're doing it with that little thing on the computer. I could never do that. I just can't do that. And this newer generation, they have been brought up with a lot of software sounds. So they're used to that. they're used to using Fruity Loops and these other things. And I'm not, this isn't, I'm not getting on people's stuff, even though I might get on us a little bit, and I probably will, because when I criticize to actually show people what they may not be doing now, but they might change what they do. You see, when I criticize, it's always because I'm doing it to make you more of the person you are supposed to be. You see, when I say this, when I say the things that I say. But yeah, and when I get these things that I got, it took me literally 5 years to get this equipment to save up enough money for myself. I have invested all of my money, all of the little bit of money that I did get, I've invested in my craft. I've invested in the MPC-1, the Roland JDXI, the Korg Electribe 2, which I put that away because I don't have any more user slots and I have to do all the transferring and importing, exporting, and I just didn't want to go through it. But even that, even the Korg Electribe 2, the drums on there just hit differently. When it hits, it's just like it just the snares and the drums, just the dynamic tone is just, something's different about it. It has this extra little juice. It has this extra little sprinkle of some kind of ingredient. It's kind of like, here's how I would compare software and hardware. For those of you who are new, or those of you who have been through this and know about it, but maybe you'll hear something you don't know, because I put a lot of time into thinking about this stuff, a lot of time. But I would compare software and hardware to, say you get a plate of spaghetti with sauce and it tastes okay. The software tastes okay, but then you get a plate with spaghetti and sauce that has a little bit of marinara and shredded oregano cheese on it. That's what hardware is. It just has that little extra taste that you say, oh yeah, that makes a difference. I can definitely hear the difference in this. And let me tell you something. If the MPC-1 came with hardware in it, like it came with its own synthesizer, or it came with its own drums already, this machine would be way better than what it is. But it's software sounds. And I'm not saying that there aren't software sounds that sound great. There are software sounds that sound amazing. But what I've been brought up with and what I can't get around is, this is the thing that makes it so hard for me. And it's why I can't make up my damn mind with this stuff, because hardware is expensive. It's expensive to get. And anybody that is dedicated to their craft like I am, I will save up every penny I can to get hardware instead of software. But lately, I have been on this thing where I've been saying, I hear all these guys making music like Manny Fresh, just everybody. I'm not going to sit here and name people, just everybody. Because I've been hearing Manny Fresh like making beats and stuff on, YouTube shorts and stuff. And I listen to everybody. See, here's what you have to understand about me as a person. I have listened to every kind of music. I have studied every kind of music. I have sung. I have done. I have played. I have actually made myself. Every genre you can think of. Every genre I did myself. I even did it myself. So I know all about, the different kinds and types and genres. And I really don't like going by a label because that's not my style. But what I mean here is, I'm almost to the point where I see these guys, I see producers, and I'm talking about real producers. I just seen something on here about producers are ruining music. They're calling them producers, but the sound to me has become so watered down, and so it sounds the same, and everybody's doing the same thing because everybody on social outlets are trying to imitate someone else. There's a lot of imitators. There's a lot of copy and paste people. There's a lot of wannabes. There's a lot of gonna-bees, but they're not really doing what they're not doing their craft. Like they're doing what they're doing, but they're doing it to fit in with the norm, the popular thing today. And it's nothing that is something that if they were alone and they were in a studio by themselves and there was nobody around, and they were making the music for themselves because that's what they make, it would be completely different music. It wouldn't be the same. But the more that I think about this, and the more that I see some of these real producers online making music and getting into it, I say to myself, just get a plug-in on software, even if it doesn't sound, but see, it's so hard. It's so hard for me to do that because I can't let hardware go. I can't let the sound go. It just doesn't hit with me right. It doesn't, it's just my ears say, there's something that's not there. There's something missing to give me that. Ooh, like to give me that. Oh, that's it. That's it right there. That sound is, yes, that's it. But I say, can I take the step, the slight step down, in my opinion, my view, the way I see software and hardware? Can I go a step down with hardware and I can have way more sounds? I can go through banks of sounds and I can have everything right at the tip of my finger. I can have it right there. I can have the computer, and I can have a an audio interface, and I can have my MIDI keyboard right there, so I can have a MIDI keyboard that can control the software. I might have to click with the mouse here and there, whatever, but it's almost like, yes, that is an easier way. That's an easier way, and you have way more, and I can see why people do it. I can see why people do it. I understand why people do it. And I see this younger generation, there are very few of these producers that are using hardware, synthesizers, or workstations, or are using drum machines. The MPC is a sampling drum machine. I'm talking about drum machines that come with drum sounds, that come with, I don't like using the word sample. Everybody uses samples. I like using sounds, one shot hits, tones. I don't like using samples because that seems like plagiarism to me when you say sample. But anyway, see, I see this different. I see this whole thing differently from a lot of the older generation and the newer generation. I see a lot of it different. But drum machines come with synthesizer sounds. Most of them are shitty that come with drum machines. From today, they might be a bit better, but back in the day, I started out with a Zoom RT323 see-through blue beat machine. I called it a beat machine. I didn't even call it a drum machine back then. I said beat machine. I got that in, like, I don't know, 2001, something around there, 2000, 2001. And that came with like Mario sounds. You know what I mean? The synthesizers, there was like one good bell sound, there was like one good bass sound, and there was another sound that I used in a lot of the other projects that I made, the little beats that I made. It was only a couple synth sounds that I could even use that were even usable to me. The drum sounds weren't bad on it, but it only came with 323 sounds. That's why it was called an RT323, a Zoom RT323. And I even had people back then saying, yo, I will pay for this beat. I want this beat off of you. And I didn't have synthesizers. I didn't have banks and banks of sounds. I didn't have hardly anything. I had one tiny drum machine that's like 10 inches wide and 7 inches, height. A real tiny drum machine. But anyway, I don't see any of, every time I watch a video with these kind of Fruity Loop producers and whatever, and I'm not saying that to down you or to make it sound like I'm saying, oh, you're just a Fruity Loop producer, but I'm just saying, every time I see a video, it's usually, besides Manny Fresh, besides Dr. Dre, even Timbaland got into the whole software computer thing and whatever. But back in the day, Timbaland wasn't doing that. Timbaland was making beats on keyboard synthesizers and drum machines. And he was sampling too. He was sampling music, but he was using keyboard workstations to make his stuff. And when you go back and you listen to Timbaland's Pony, come on and let's do it, that ride it, and then there's that, yeah. My voice is all messed up right now because I just woke up a little bit ago, but those sounds, when you hear those drums, that that sound, when you hear that, it's just, and you listen to stuff today, it's just not the same. It doesn't sound the same. When you listen to songs with Aaliyah and you listen to these songs back in the 90s, the late 90s, I think the mid to late 90s and even in the early 90s had some of the best instrumentals, had some of the best sounding, the sounds to my liking. That's the generation that I liked. I'm kind of a 90s guy. Yeah, it's when I grew up, but it doesn't have anything to do with that. It doesn't have anything to do with when I grew up. Oh, I'm just doing it because that was my era when I grew up as a kid. No, I'm being honest here and having an honest assessment. The beats today, they sound software to me. They sound like software. They don't sound like hardware. Listen, just do something. Go to and listen to Manny Fresh. Listen to some of his beats. Go listen to Dr. Dre's beats. Go listen to old Timbaland. Go listen to old Jay-Z instrumentals. And just listen to the dynamics of the music. It's different. It's different. I don't care what any of these guys say, because I have an ear for this like a lot of people don't in the music realm, because they have not really gotten into this deep and studied it like I have. And listen, there's some people, like I said, they just do not have an ear for this, and they don't care if it's software or hardware. And that's cool. If they don't care, they don't care. I do care about the sound, though. I care that if I can't resonate with the sound, if the sound doesn't get me, it's not that I still can't make anything, but if the sound doesn't get me in a mood, if it doesn't give me a feeling, an emotion, if it doesn't give me a vibe, if it doesn't give me some kind of energy or get me to say, oh, that's it, ho, 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 yeah, or ooh, hoo, hoo. Like if I'm not getting excited about it, then it's going to be a different vibe. You see, if I get excited about it, then the song is probably more than likely going to be exciting. If I resonate with it, then other people will resonate with it. if I get into it and I'm like, oh, this is whoa, like then other people will feel that way. See, this is how it is with us. If you're not feeling the beat, if you're not feeling it, more than likely other people are not going to feel it. And sometimes it's the opposite though. It's not always true. Sometimes the stuff that people make that they don't like, other people love it. It's the weirdest thing. It's the craziest thing. But listen, all that I'm saying here, I know for me, the first thing that I bought that was worth buying was the Roland JDXI. That is one of the most fun, easy, simple, best sounding, cheaper synths that you're going to get. Now, when you get it though, it doesn't come with a ton of sounds. It comes with some basses. It comes with some strings. The drum sounds are on point. The drum sounds are actually better than the MPC drums and drums on an expensive synthesizer. But there's a ton more drums on the MPC, and there are drum kits that sound really good. But I would rather, for a lot of things, I would rather have the dynamic sound of the Roland JDXI drums. They just hit differently. It just has a different way of making me feel as a person. And it's not in my mind. It's not in my mind. I have compared these things. I have listened over and over and over. And I'm telling you, now see, a lot of people though, you have to really, really be into this. You have to really be into the craft if you get something like a Roland JDXI. Because it's not just going to throw you like these string choir, organic, like atmospheric, like awesome sounds. You're not going to get that. It's not going to give you like an orchestra when you press a button. It's not going to do that. You have to actually put time, and you have to get into the menu, and sometimes you don't have to get into the menu. But I know for me, this thing was the best introduction into synth drum machine workstations for me. It was the best option that I could have ever picked. I was going to go with a Novation Mini Nova or a Mini Korg, but they did not have drum machines. They didn't have drums with it. See, the Roland JDXI, and let me tell you something, the sounds on there are incredible for it being the little synth that it is. It looks like a toy, but I'm telling you, the sounds coming out of it are monstrous. They're absolutely monstrous. And I was going to go that route, but see, here's what people don't know. The Roland JDXI comes with it comes with about 483, 493 drum sounds. And it gives you the basics of what you need and a little more. You get some nice Indian tones, nice like tribal percussion stuff. You get really good percussion things on there. You get all the hi-hats, original 808s, 909s, CR78s, the EDMs, the Latino kits. I mean, there are some really corny sounds, don't get me wrong, like cheeseball corny sounds, but I even use sometimes the beat is made to have something like that in it, like that throws you off a little bit. You know, Timbaland used to do this. He used to throw in these little cheesy type sounds, like with Pony when it goes, it does that little what, like that high pitched whatever bubble sound. I don't know what the hell it is, like a person coming out of a bubble. I don't know what it is, but and when I first heard that, I said, why would he put that in there? When I was younger, when I was like 14 years old or 13, 14, I said, why would he put that sound in there? He messed it up. But then as I kept listening to it, I said, damn, that sound was made to be there. Yeah, we call it cheesy and corny, but it was made to be in the song. It fit the song perfect to a T. And anyway, I can go on and on about this because I think about this all the time. And please, if you have any questions about software or hardware, leave it in the comments. I love answering questions. I love giving feedback on these things because see, here's how I see it. I'm gonna try to sum it up as quick as I can, but the newer generation of people that are making music and making beats but see, you have to understand though, there are people that are producers and that are making actual beats from scratch and making it their own way, and then there are people that sample a lot of music and they use sampling all the time. I think that sampling musicians should not be called producers. That's just my opinion. I think there's producers that make music from drum machines and synthesizers and their own sounds and recording their own sounds. And then I think there's sampling artists, sampling musicians. I don't call them producers. I call them samplers, sampling musicians, because they're sampling something else and bringing it in and using it. You know, they're not going and picking a sound and picking drums, you know, one shot drums, one shot sounds, you know, like sounds. And it's just different. It's all different. And everybody has a different view of it. But, you know, I don't know. I'm losing train of thought here. But yeah, I know there are very, very few producers out here. Very, very few producers. And that should be telling us something. Because here's how I see it. The generation coming up, everybody is getting a computer and using software. And there's very few people using hardware anymore that I see. And it's kind of like everybody is trying to emulate, copy, and be like somebody else. And it's like sometimes you have to go back to the original, the basics of things in order to understand it all for yourself. Like you have to start from complete scratch with things. And this is what a lot of musicians that want to be musicians, they don't do. They just want to go where, and I understand. I'm the same. I absolutely agree. I'm the same way. But if I was anybody just starting, I would start with something simple. Start with simple sounds. Start with sounds that it's not like an orchestra right there for you. Because what can you learn? What can you learn if you don't start from the bottom up? What can you learn if there's just, when you press a button, it goes, ow! Like, what can you learn if you press a button and it's like, oh, like, and it's like right there for you. Then what are we learning if we're doing that? See, I would say start from a drum machine or a synthesizer, keyboard, drum machine workstation like the Roland JDXI, or I wouldn't recommend the Electribe 2, but I do have it. Or start out with an MPC with drum sounds. But see, there's a lot of people that are using MPCs to sample, and that's what it's kind of for. But I don't use it to sample. I use the drum kits. I use the plugins. I use the sounds on there, and I make stuff every time from nothing. The sounds that are on there, I use. And there's a big difference, you know? There is a big, big, big difference with the way that we go about making music in this life and how people see music. And what I am What I am attempting to do here is deliver to you a new way of seeing music, a new way of going about how you make music. Because every time I see people, every time I go on a platform, it's somebody, and there's nothing wrong or right, it's just my view on it. I see somebody on a computer with some software, and they're there with either that or a little MIDI thing. And that's cool because that's even where I'm thinking of going. But I ask myself, have you learned the basics? Do you know about velocity? And do you know about, instead of a shaker going, do you make it go, you know what I mean? Like, do you know, like, did you ever hear Michael Jackson beatboxing? You know what I'm saying? Have you ever sat and took the time to learn that, and I'm just bullshitting. I'm just doing whatever off the top of my head. If I sat here and thought, I used to beatbox all the time. I used to beat on a table. I always have stuff in my head. I always have beats going in my head. I always have sounds going. My head is like an orchestra. It's literally like a symphony of sounds. Right now I can hear strings and bows and atmospheric sounds and like choirs and basses, and I can just hear it all in my head going. And this is why I make music, because it's almost like it has to get out of my mind. I can't keep it in my mind. And for those who do not have that, for those who do not have something like that, then you have to start to where if you're really into it, where you are doing it from nothing and then you're building a catalog in your mind. You're learning little elements that you can tweak and you can adjust and you can make different. And see, I have all that in my mind: attack, decay, sustain, reverb, chorus, delay, basses, choirs, and how they sound, and if you manipulate them and tweak them and change them, and you can make a choir sound like a bell, you can make a bell sound like a string, you can make a string sound like a bass. There's so many things that you can do with this, but yet it's like everybody's saying, here's everything for you right now. So get it right now for, $2.99, $1.99. Here you can have 10,000 great sounds to use. And I'm not against great sounds. I'm not against quality sounds. It's just when we're talking about this hardware and software, it's kind of like nobody starts from hardware, because you're going to have to put in some kind of work. You're going to have to put in effort. You're going to have to put in time to the craft of music and making music. And it's why there are very few people that I can really even call a producer, like a actual producer. That means you're making, you get some ingredients and you make the recipe and you cook it yourself, and then you serve the recipe yourself. You see, but everybody sees it different. And I just seen a video that popped up on my thing saying about how producers are ruining music. And I actually agree with that. I agree with that, because there's so much of this. I have to keep putting out things for everybody, and I understand that too. But it's become so watered down, like people just are sounding the same. Everything is, oh, I have to fit into the popular mold or the genre. So, oh, well, I like this bell sound, but everybody is using this bass sound. Everybody's using this 808 sound, so I have to use that. You see, everybody's using this I don't know what kind of sound do people use a lot. Everybody's putting this hi-hat in the trap beats, and everybody's putting this in the hip hop and the R&B and the country, the jazz, the rock. Like, people are using them sounds, so that's the sounds I have to use. See, that is people that are going by the genre. Those are people that are going by popularity and what's on the charts. I don't give a shit about what's on the charts. I don't care about what's popular. I care that I'm making what I want to make. I'm picking the sounds that I like. See, if you're not making it, if you have someone else in mind while you're making music, this is something that David Bowie said. He said, if you have somebody else in mind while you're making music, I'm pretty sure it was David Bowie. He said, I forget what he followed it up with, but you're not making it for the right reasons. You're making it for all the wrong reasons. You're making it for approval. You're making it to say, oh, look at, ain't I great? Don't I fit in with what's popular? And we're missing the element of what it means for our own craft. We don't, when you say, what's your style? What is your certain style of music? What is your sound? I don't believe in none of that. There are sounds that I pick and use. I don't have a sound. I don't have a label. I don't have a type of way or a style that I do things. And this is something that Bruce Lee said. He said something about, I don't go by styles or anything. I just, do what I do. I don't go by that. I don't try to fit into somewhere. And I hear very few people talking about this. I only hear people talking about, if you want to sound this way, do you want to know how to make a hip hop, a boom bap hip hop beat? Do you want to know how to make an underground trap beat? Do you want to know how to make an R&B slow beat? It's like, quit trying to make it something. Do what you know that you feel. Make what you resonate with. Make what is in you to make. And do it from the bottom. Do it from the basics. Do it from the very beginning of it. And I'm telling you, you will not regret doing that as a producer. See, get some ingredients, get a hardware keyboard synthesizer or some other unit, do some research, get the ingredients, which is the sounds, get the water, which is you're the water, and cook up something with those ingredients yourself and make your own recipe. This is producing your own music. This is what it means to be a producer. And Timbaland even did an interview about this a while ago and said, there are no more producers. And he's correct. There are no more producers. There's very few. When I say there is no more, what I mean is there's very few. It doesn't mean that there's absolutely zero, but I can call myself a producer because I do. I produce music. I take ingredients and I put them together and I cook up something and I serve the recipe when I do it. And some people, though, they're just taking the recipe, pieces of a recipe, and putting it together and putting it out. See, they're not taking elements, they're not taking ingredients from scratch and doing it like that. And I know a lot of people disagree today, but this is the generation we're in. Everybody disagrees with someone like me because they're not willing to put in the time for their craft. They're not willing to actually be what nobody else is being and to be different, This is what makes you great, is when you're different. The greatest minds are different. And they don't keep doing what everybody else is doing. They don't try to fit into a mold. They don't want approval. It's because they know that through and through they have something in them that they have to express. You know what I mean? And this is why I mentioned Manny Fresh and a couple other people, because when you see him, he's on an SP, I think SP202, an older version. I think that's what it's called. And he's on keyboard workstations. But he's on the computer too, though. He mixes it up. See, he's someone that mixes it up, and that's what I do too. I mix it up. I mix up the ingredients from time to time, you see? But I don't know. And anyway, I know that got off topic from software and hardware, but if I had a decision, it would be an all-in-one hardware keyboard workstation that has pads on it. And there's a lot of expensive units that have that. I know people can't afford it. And, the MPC-1 is an amazing piece of gear, but it does not have a pitch wheel. It doesn't have a modulation wheel. It doesn't have built-in synthesizers. It does have plugins, but some of the sounds are just not there for me. Like the strings and the bells and those kind of sounds are lacking. The bass sounds, some of the like atmospheric sounds and things like that, they're not bad. They're not bad. Like the 808s and the drums are not bad. But when it comes to synthy, orchestral kind of stuff, it just doesn't fulfill me. It doesn't quench my appetite for saying, okay, that's good enough. You know what I mean? Because you can't get 100% with this stuff. Let's just be honest. You can't get 100% with your beats and music. Even though you're a perfectionist, you can't be perfect. And if I can get it to be, in my mind, 95%, then you gotta let it go sometimes. There's some times where I say, damn, this is like 97, 98%, but it's not there. It's not at 100%. And this is where perfectionists like Dr. Dre and other musicians, they drive themselves kind of crazy, but yet they make the best music. They make the best instrumentals. Well, at least back in the day they did. Lately, I haven't really been into a lot of what people are making today. It just doesn't sound like stuff from the 90s. And I know people go, well, let go, that we're not in the 90s anymore. But see, that's just saying let go and let all that go and let's be lazy. Let's make easier music. Let's make it easier. We have a ton of sounds. Why do we have to go to a keyboard workstation? Why do we have to go back to the basics and all that stuff? Why do we have to go back to a drum machine? That ain't gonna make me no music or no money and all this stuff. And see, those are the people that are in it for all of the wrong reasons. They're in it because they're chasing clout. They're in it because they want to be popular and they want to fit in and they want to sound like everybody else. Those people, to me, they're already gone. I don't care about those people. If I'm looking for anything, if or when I'm looking, I am looking for real producers. I am looking for people that are enthralled, obsessed with their craft, and they are obsessed with being different, finding new ways to do things, but yet going back to the basics. I'm getting back to the basics. I'm getting back to the basics. Yeah, I'm getting back to the basics. I had that song on my Boss RC505, and I don't know how I erased it, but I wanted to put that up just to say, I made a song getting back to the basics, because a lot of people skip the basics. They skip the basics of volume, velocity, attack, decay, sustain, release, the filters, sound effects, envelopes, LFOs. They skip all this stuff. It's almost like they don't even want to know about it. They're just like, give me a bunch of stuff so I can get popular right away. And it's just, to me, To me, it's kind of sickening in a way. I can't be honest. It really makes me kind of want to gag when I think that there's so many wannabe musicians out here. I mean, I'm sorry to say there's so many people that desperately want to be a musician because they want that clout. They want to be popular. They want to be known. And they're not doing it because they actually resonate and their life is the craft. They have music in them. It seeps out of their pores. It's literally in the fabric of what makes them the individual, the vessel that they are. You know what I'm saying? And this is how I see hardware and software in some ways is like hardware is hard, it's strong, it's been there, it's done that, it's started from the beginning. And software is a soft approach. Here's all the sounds you need. And look, I know you might see it different, and I'm not saying with everything, I'm saying with some things. But software is soft and fluffy, and here you have everything you need, and you can make anything you can imagine. It's like selling your soul to the devil, kind of metaphorically. Like, just sign this paper, just get this software, and you can have it all. You can press one button. You can copy and paste anything you want from what is it called? Splice or another outlet. You can just have everything right here. Just get the software and it's here. That's just how I see it with some aspects of it. I'm not saying all the aspects of it. Because when you think of it, a lot of why people make music is for specifically, I don't have a problem with people making money off their music. It's just when that's what you're specifically doing it for. See, money is a tool. Money should be used as a tool. It should not be used as your motive for everything you do. Because if that is your motive for everything you do, you're a corrupt person through and through. I don't care what anybody says. And you're going to do whatever you do to step on everybody else. Oh, I got to get the latest software and computer so I can make beats and get popular so that everybody can know me and I can get big. And yeah, now I'm all like this and I'm all like that and I'm doing it. Yeah, I got the cameraman doing all this and I'm jumping all around. Look at me. Look at me. And they're doing all this like showing off and stuff. And to me, that's not cool. See, that's not natural cool. That's stupid cool. That's stupid, that's prideful boasting. That's boasting cool, prideful cool. And that's the cool that I don't like. I like cool like, ain't nobody dope as me. I'm just so fresh, so clean. That's outcast. That's cool. That's natural cool. That's not trying to show off for people. You see, some of you cats and dogs and humans, whatever, I'm just being silly here, but we need to go back to the basics. You need to go back to the basics. I always go back to the basics, you see, because I have the basics in my possession. So that's how I see it. That's how I see it. And please, if you liked the video, you know what to do. I'm not going to get into all that. If you want to support my channel, you know what to do. The blue links are below. I appreciate it. But if you have any questions, if you relate or you don't relate, or you think something different, or you criticize, if you have a different view on it, let me know your view. But don't tell me what I think that I should know for myself. Just give me your view on it. Let me know what you think about it. I don't need to hear what you think I need to know about it. I already look into this stuff more than most people in the world. So more than likely, you're not going to really be telling me anything. And that's not me being cocky, but I'm obsessed with this. This is my craft. This is what I do every day, all the time. I only put out 0.5 or 0.3% of what I actually make out of 100% of stuff. I have so much music that it's ridiculous. I don't even have no more space on the gear that I have to make it. I have to put it in the SD cards and stuff. But anyway, that's not important in the video. But what I'm saying is I make a lot of music and I have an ear for this. I have a specific ear. I have heard things that people never heard before. I have done things people have never done before. I have experimented with things that people have never experimented before, but I don't have it on camera to show you. I didn't have somebody there to record me, you know what I mean? I'm a loner. I'm always by myself. So it's hard for me just to say, hey, look, I did this. Believe me, I did this and I've been there, and it's, there's only like I said, 0.00 some percent of what you actually see what I do in my spare time and what I have done in my spare time. And someone that knows, I want to listen to. I don't want to listen to people that think they know. I don't want to listen to boastful, prideful idiots that just want to be popular and want to have that clout on social media and stuff. These guys are actually worthless to someone like me. I don't want to associate myself with any of them. So that's why it's hard to find people. Listen, if I could get up and collaborate with somebody like Manny Fresh, somebody like Dr. Dre, somebody that is really, really obsessed, I mean, literally would probably die for their craft. These are the people that I resonate with. I don't resonate with any of this just wanna be, copy paste, sound like everybody else. I don't resonate with that at all. 0%. Zero. When I see it, I'm disgusted by it. It makes me sick as a person because I know that what they're doing, they don't even really understand why they're doing what they're doing because they haven't been there and done it. You see, they haven't been through enough experiences in their own life to understand what they're really saying, what they're really doing. The things that they're heading towards is not what they think they're heading towards. I'm telling you. So a wise man will listen to a wise man for a time. We're all fools. We're all fools in this world sometimes. But the ones that really want to know for themselves will listen. And those who get offended are those who do not want to listen. Those are the ones that just want to think they know everything. And they're like, well, ain't nobody gonna tell me how to do anything. And see, that's why you're not gonna learn anything, because you've never listened to somebody like me or somebody that actually knows about this stuff. And then people go, oh, well, you don't got nothing to back it up. Well, where is all this stuff? Right here. Right here in my possession is all that stuff, and I can prove it. I might not be putting out a ton of it right now, but I can prove it. I have the proof in my possession right here. So whether people believe me or not is irrelevant. You see what I mean? And I know this is very off topic from hardware and software, but I am somebody that I am obsessed with making people see things differently so that we can explore and experience with different things. So that we're not trying to be like each other all the time. Because then what are we learning? What are we doing? What is it? It's the same thing over and over. It's like it's not insanity, because life is insane. It's over and over, but it's like repetitious nonsense to me. It's repetitious over and over again. Look at all my money. Look at my car. Look at my chains. Like it's just the same kind of it's like the same beats every time. It's like the same structure, some of the same sounds, the same elements. Everybody has a brick beats, or they have some girl going Eskimo Beats Productions, or it's some a baby or something else. I mean, look, I'm not getting on you like that. I'm just saying it's like, dude, everybody's already done that before. Everybody has already did that. It's been done time after time after time. It's like, go watch the video with T-Pain. Producers do something different. We heard it before. There's already a little baby. There's like 2 or 3 little babies or something. I think there's 2, but how many Lils can we have? Lil Wayne, Lil Bibby, Lil Frankie, Lil Kim. How many Lils are there? No more Lils. We don't need no more Lils here. You see, and this is what I know I'm gonna do when I do a video. I can't help it because I'm trying to teach y'all something in the music realm. You're not listening to the master. You're not listening to the teacher. You're not listening to the one who can provide you with the ingredients that you need to perfect your craft, even though you're never going to be perfect. I have the ingredients. I have it up here. I know. I have the skill. I have the trade. Even though I'm not a popular channel, I'm not a well-known channel, I don't get so many views, there's not many people coming here. But if anybody ever does come here, see, I have nothing left to lose in my life. I just did a video before this, if you're interested in watching it, and I might leave the link, but I might not, I don't know. But I have nothing to lose anymore. If there's anybody out there that is similar to me, that is somebody that is already, I'm not trying to mess with no, I don't know how to say it, but I'm not trying to mess with someone that has nothing going for them. And you would say, oh, well, you don't have nothing going for you. No, I don't have really too much going, but I have a lot. I have a lot in my arsenal. And if there's anybody that is already established with this thing, hit me up because I'm ready. Hit me up. I'm hungry. Hit me up because I am the guy. I am the guy. I am the difference. I am the protagonist. I am the one that thinks of things people don't. I am the one, SBN the one. That's what I wanted to name my channel, was SBN the one, because it goes with the artwork that I drew. But SBN Resonate, SBN Natan, SBN Natan God, SBN Sigma, SBN, that's my moniker for everything. Somebody but nobody, software, hardware, up, down, round, round. I'm done with this video. So anyway, leave questions. I like filtering out, because if people are not hearing, if you're not hearing the word, if you're not listening and hearing the word, then how are you going to gain any knowledge for yourself? How are you going to know anything at all? I mean, it has to come from somewhere. But see, here's the most important thing, and don't forget this. Your experimentation. You experimenting with things is where it's all at. It's all at. Remember, I told you this. Remember, SBN Resonate, SBN Natan, SBN Nathan. I don't know if I want to say my last name on my thing or not. I was thinking about using my real name, but I don't know if I want to. But remember, I told you this. Hardly anybody is experimenting with sound and art and music. Everybody is attempting to imitate and get what everybody else has already. They're trying to have the sounds that everybody's already using, and they're doing all those things. They want the recipe. They don't want to go pick their own ingredients. They don't want to go get the seeds from the store to plant their own watermelons and plant their own potatoes and their own carrots and their own celery and their own beets and all that stuff to put it together themselves. This is what I'm desperately trying to tell y'all. Listen to what I'm telling you. Remember this. This is going to be the key factor in your life. I was willing to start out by experimenting with a drum machine. Simple, basic drum machine that didn't even have compression. I don't even think it had reverb and compression on it. I didn't even know what quantize was. I didn't know what a measure was. I didn't know anything. I learned it. I didn't even look in the book. I didn't even look in the manual. I learned it by ear. I learned it by experimenting with it. Everything that I know on these machines, these workstations I have learned by myself. I didn't go and ask people. I didn't have an internet. I didn't have YouTube back in the day. I didn't have it right there for me. I had to dig deep and learn. I had to know my thing. I had to know the machine. I had to know the workstation I was using so I could use it and do what I needed it to do. And this is what I'm telling y'all. Are you willing to start from the very bottom of something? Are you willing to start from complete scratch with ingredients that you get yourself? That's the question. There's already too many of the other people that are doing it the other way. And there's hardly anybody doing it the way that I'm talking about in this video. Very, very, very few people that are willing to experiment with sound effects, sounds, filters, just everything you can think of. Music is literally like ecosystems and galaxies. You see, the arts is literally like ecosystems and galaxies. Every single workstation is its own ecosystem. It's its own galaxy of possibilities that you can do. And see, do we think of it like that though? Do we think in those terms? Do we think that way about it? Do we think big like that? See, I'm getting you to think big about your craft while we're here. I'm getting you to think bigger about something. Even though I talk about how life is, you know, one day we're all gonna die and everything's this and that on my channel. You have to understand the pendulum is always swinging. There has to be a balance. There has to be ugly days and there's beautiful days. There has to be days where the coffee spills on your lap and then days it doesn't. And you drink it and you're like, damn, I'm ready to go. So, you know, that's what it is, you know. And by the way, if anybody would like to help support my channel by buying me a metaphorical cup of coffee, I have a link below. You don't realize how much that really helps me as a person to keep doing these videos, to keep creating, to keep doing things when I know that somebody's listening and giving me some of their time by donating $1 or $3 or $5 or hitting the thumbs up. But, you know, I appreciate a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And I want y'all to do that. But when you do that, it just lets me know I'm listening to you. I heard you. Okay, I'm resonating with what you're saying. So I'm waiting for the next video to come. And then it gets me excited to do it more. It gets me in the mood more. I mean, I can do that myself. I get in the mood myself and I do it myself. But if you add that extra fire to it, then you might be learning something more. I can teach you something more because I'm always digging into stuff. I'm always learning things. And if there's something you don't know, ask me. I don't mind telling you something, but I don't have an answer. I can just give you my feedback of what I know. I can't give you an answer for yourself though. You see, this is where you have to experiment. You have to put in the time to experiment with stuff to understand yourself, to understand the technique of your craft. And I don't even like saying technique. That's even like labels. To understand the bare necessity and the basics of what you need to know in order to go above and beyond with whatever you're doing. You know, do you want to be great or do you want to be like everybody else? Do you want to be different or do you want to be like everybody else? Do you want to be a producer or do you want to be like every other sampling artist and whatever. And I know a lot of y'all, you're gonna be like, oh, you're calling me a sampling guy and all this. It's all the same. And I know how people talk about this. I heard it. I've been there and done it, like the Dr. Dre song. So anyway, y'all, thanks for listening. I am about to drink some coffee here. Yeah, let me know what you think about hardware and software. I don't care what it is. I really don't at this point. I have nothing to lose. I have something to gain. It's like, let's do this damn thing. We ain't got much time here. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got much time here. I'm ready. I'm ready to make moves. I want to get this thing out. You know what I'm saying? I've been in the cage for too long. So it's like it's time for Johnny Cage. It's time for some action here. At least for me. I don't know for y'all out there, but anyway, take care of yourself and do what you do. Later.